Welcome to the fucking Thunderdome, Chris Raygun. You're here with a riptide. There's no end to this. It goes and it goes and it goes. I found another gamer gator. He's someone I mentioned, I think, once, maybe. He's pretty good at the podcast thing. He's got his own unique logo going on. He's not just using some random-ass wallpaper. You bastard. I actually need to make one of these or figure something out. I'll use, like, a variation of stuff. I like doing that. Anyway. Yeah. He just played a video for me from the PBS people called Video Games Are Racist? And he tackles it in his own way. He's very broadcaster maximum. I mean, just bam, He's got quite an audience, too. So, give it up for that. Give it up for the ray gun. I put him on the Twitter. I should follow him. Oh, no, I'll just do this. I'll just leave him more comments. That's what I'll do. That'll work. So, yes, we have entered the Thunderdome with Chris Raygun. He's shooting lasers at me, and I can dodge them. Bam, bam. Actually, he's not shooting any lasers at me, because I agree with him. This whole video is about how the representation of non-playable characters, NPCs, they're called by us gamers, are unfairly weighted this way and that in terms of race in video games, and it's really not that true. He draws it out in his own way, but it's basically just video games tend to have very kind of substandard writing, and substandard this kind of thing, where it's just like if the game is set in the Middle East, then most of the characters are Middle Eastern, and if the game is set in Africa, then most of the characters are black, and if the game is set in Japan, then most of the characters are white for no reason, and if the game is set in America, then all the characters are white for no reason. And it's just like how they do games, where even the big bad ones that try and tackle these things, it's pretty rare they manage to accurately capture something like race or gender diversity or any of these things. It's just, they don't do it because they don't have any good writers, or they don't have people that are tapped into this, where they actually go to the area and live there, and that's kind of like a writer thing again. It's really know your stuff, that kind of shit is not where they come at it from. So the charge of racism on games, especially this style of just exactly the feminist frequency style of argumentation, just I don't really have to make a case, but I'll make sure to say racism or sexism, just I'll make sure to use a loaded word, but make a case, explain myself in full, be willing to engage with my critics directly when they wish to challenge a point or whatever kind of thing they would like to have discussion-wise. These are good things, this is what's good about what we call the new media. And Chris Raygun is calling this person Hipster McGee. I happen to know who it is, but I'm not going to mention him here. But yeah, it's just something that's out there a lot. Us writer people like to call it op-ed, but that's not really what it is. That's what Leanna Kersner is convinced all of this is based around. That's what's happening in this particular point in time from about a month ago that Chris Raygun is addressing here. Yeah, that's true. That's what this is. This is all about op-ed writing. That's what he's getting pissed off about. That's what the whole Resident Evil 5 is racist kind of stuff was. It's just a bunch of op-ed writing. It's stuff we do to try and make money. That's all it ever is. We're just trying to make some damn money over here, and then we write a bunch of stuff like this. That's not quite what the, new trend is. That's not quite what the larger picture is. This is kind of like someone that's taken up that note. But the larger picture is, let's use shady marketing tactics everywhere we go. Let's be as corporate plutocracy as possible with this new gaming industry that's shaping up before our eyes. And, that's the whole plan. That's what they've been doing the whole time. It's just the Gamergate people and other people who are, tuning in whenever they tuned in are, finally seeing it, where it's oh, yeah, the biggest new entertainment industry out there is, 10 times more like McDonald's than, any Hollywood studio you can name. They are 10 times as a whole more like Walmart than they are like any music label you can name, with a few exceptions. You know, it's like they are so plastic fantastic. Everybody do exactly what we say in unison. And the like 1 or 2 game studios that do not abide by the rules and just do not do that, you know, are like Rockstar. And that's what a lot of this is, you know, I'm at least convinced in my little I know the world kind of way of looking at things that a lot of what the Feminist Frequency and 4chan, Kotaku, Backward Alliance kind of stuff going on is just, you know, these people fucking work for one of the other big names. You know, these people fucking work for like the mobile companies or something. Like they have some invested interest in making sure that the future gaming industry is as plastic fantastic, exactly like what Nintendo envisions the future gaming industry to be. That's what they want. And they see essentially me in terms of the like broadcasting and YouTube spheres going on in the gaming industry in the form of Rockstar Games. You know, why the hell have I been into their shit since the beginning? Well, I don't know. The very first game, you got a pointless, no reason to do it other than there was just a pointless text pop-up that said Garunga. But there was all these Hare Krishnas, like jogging on the road, and if you ran every last single one of them over with the car and killed every last single one, it would give you a pointless reward of the screen going Garunga. And like, yeah, that was the first GTA. That was the very first one. There was kind of a funny story on that too. I installed that on all of my high school's computer networked computers, like the public ones for everyone to use. And we were all playing Grand Theft Auto, the first one, in my high school. Like, everyone was playing it, more or less. Even the girls were playing it at points. And no one knew what it was. Like, none of the teachers, none of the people playing it, like, none of them knew what it was at all. And then what happened one day is, I think it was the principal sat down when we had all gone home and just went through the computers, and they, you know, they knew it was there, but they didn't know what it was. Well, yeah, he started playing it, and he just played the game for a while, and he was like, oh, holy shit. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what's like the first thing you do with it? I don't remember exactly, but it's like, go get the drugs, go kill this guy, go over here and like follow that guy. Okay, now kill him. You know, it's just like, it's just nothing but commit a crime, 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 commit a crime. And then the whole time, just like what made the game what it is, you know, the way it looks now in GTA 5, the whole time from the moment you start the game, you don't have to do any of it. It was like the first thing that I know of that was like the complete sandbox where there was like something to do. You know, like you could like drive around and steal cars and blow things up and run down the pedestrians if you could find them in the city that give you the stupid text message, and you know, you could just do nothing in the game and it was entertaining. And you could network it, you know, you could add more and more and more users in. And since it was so simple, I think the maximum was ridiculous. Like, I don't even think there was enough computers for me to like set it up so that like no matter what, like tons of people could get in, you know. It was like, no, I remember us having it so it was too much for the machines we were using more than we couldn't get in. It was just like too many people were blowing up cars in the same section of the city and things would just kind of not be there for like anyone. It would just be like for a second we'd all just be hung up like, all right, what's happening? And come back, there'd be like 18 freaking destroyed car, you know, things all sitting on one side of the screen, like, oh, that was cool, and nobody saw it. But yeah, that's just a thing to know is, you know, Rockstar Games and me were like rolling around in the sack before they even knew what the hell was going on in their life. And now they represent what parts of the gaming industry want to see die and be snuffed out and destroyed forever. And these are the same people that would probably walk right up to some like totally like anti-corporate type person like Angry Joe, or some like highly respected and ethically renowned type person like Total Biscuit, like, you know, the Feminist Frequency, Greg Epstein, Jonathan McIntosh, Leigh Alexander, you know, like these people, they would walk right up to them and like work with us on this, you know, like they would have no problem with that if that is indeed their goal, and that's the whole trip here. That's exactly what they would do, because it would just be a business proposition. But, you know, from our end as consumers and people sitting here, like, watching it go down and trying to figure it out, it's like, yeah, that's the whole point, is everywhere you look, it's always the same thing. It's like, most likely somebody's getting paid, and that's probably what's not going on with the "I think there's racism" guy, but that's definitely what I think is going on with a lot of the rest of it. A lot of the rest of this, like, let's hyper-examine video games, is just people really don't want certain aspects of the gaming industry to succeed, and they get freaked out because every time these people make any kind of game, really, everyone goes nuts, and they make tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of money because they're good at their job. And a lot of other people in the gaming industry suck at their job. They don't know how to write. They can't bring out, like, the product on time. A lot of the time what I think is happening is the devs are, like, kick-ass at a lot of these studios, and they don't essentially have, like, agents. You know, like, they don't have someone just sitting there with the freaking hardcore marketing people, and not the talkative ones like me, just frickin' laying down the hammer. Like, no, these guys are, these gals and these guys and everybody back there behind me, they're all just coding like crazy and they're doing their job, and you just shut up, you know, like, we're not setting that date, that's not happening, you know. It's like, I think that's a big part of it, is the Electronic Arts divisions of gaming often gets blamed for this, but it's a much larger thing. It's just how it works. People want return on that initial investment, and then those people that are all tasked with solely just doing marketing and nothing else, and they're not the all-in-one deal that I am, they're just focused in on that. And so it's like, yeah, shit needs to get done when it needs to get done with crap like coding and debugging. It just needs to get done when it needs to get done. If there's not a problem, the debuggers don't have anything to do, and the coders could work day and night non-stop and never finish, like, ever, if you just gave them, like, endless tasks on top of the tasks that you already gave them. There would never be an end to the coding. So yeah, it's just a thing about how video games are made, that the industry should be accommodating the developers in every way possible, and kind of taking the marketing for marketing's sake people and kind of putting them off in a buffer somewhere, like, you go over there and shut the fuck up. And then when times are keyed and good, those people are much better at, like, getting out the next big thing, getting out the next GTA 5, getting out, you know, Bayonetta 3, getting out, like, the hottest shit ever. You know, it's like, they're much better at that than someone like me. You know, provided they maintain their ethics for the, you know, duration of the campaign or whatever, they're much better at it. Like, that's their fucking purpose, is promotions. The sleazy market people, you know, get them a good product, and then throw them loose on promotions, and, like, that's their freaking, you know, function in this whole dynamic, and that's it. You know, that's what sucks about marketing people, is they never get shut down. They're not machines or something, you know. It's like, no, yeah, when they've got something good to promote, and it's worth everybody's time for them to be promoting the thing that they're promoting, then they're the only people that are any real good at, like, getting it, like, full exposure is what it's called. And people like me are just not going to be as good at it at all. And they're not even using sleaze in that case. It's just, you know, that's their strongest. That's how they do it. That's how they're right between the borderline of a con artist and a charismatic person, is they're just damn good at something we all call sales over here, and, you know, biting our teeth down in leather because we just are crazy like that kind of side of the world. And yeah, that's all I'm convinced of, is a lot of these people are on the same side as things, as me's right here's. They're people that have been trained how to fuck with y'all's heads, and they just do it, like, eloquently, while I'm just sitting here, like, blowing out their schemes, do-do-do-do-do. And Chris Reagan is more the kind of guy that gets labeled a ranter, but I think he's kind of got some good points. I'm gonna delve, as time goes on, into many different topics and things, and I predict even, that Chris Reagan and I, without even paying any attention to one another, will end up smashing into one another in terms of what the hell we're talking about at any given moment.
A fellow, motherfucker! But with enemy hordes, stereotypical character design, and tokenism, clearly we still have a long way to go in video games.
Sergeant Johnson is not a token. He's a sergeant who happens to be black.
Why is it that every minority to you guys needs to fit some kind of bullshit box you've set up for them? I never once thought of Sergeant Johnson as a token black friend. I never once thought of Cortana as some token sex appeal. These are all well-written characters, great characters. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Race, ethnicity, gender orientation be damned. If you can write good characters, that's all that matters. None of this race bullshit. So what do you think? Do games represent race in NPCs in a problematic way? No, they don't. You're just looking for something to whine about because the Wi-Fi on your father's private island went down for 20 minutes and you couldn't tweet about how great In-N-Out Burger is. Hash it out in the comments, and if you like what you saw, please subscribe.
No, subscribe to me. I'm better.
I need to say something. I just need to end it here because I can't take it. You don't use wheelchairs because they're fashionable. You don't wear hearing aids because they give you a certain look. You don't wear glasses because you think you look good in them. You can see fine. Stop wearing glasses, you hipster troglodyte invalid. As someone who is visually impaired, I find your appropriation of glasses as a fashion statement problematic. Hell, I might even go so far as to call it ableist. Have a nice day.
There's Chris Raygun giving us his piece of his mind. And yeah, it's the same thing. He addressed it right there. It's, you know, it's so easy to look at any game and be like, oh, you know, that blue hologram girl, she's just there for the boobs. Yeah. And especially when there's no writing involved, and there is good writing involved with the Halo games, all the ones I've played. It's like, that's just not true for anyone that's getting into it, and that's completely true for like anybody that's just purely sensationalist about everything, and that's just how things tend to be with movies and books and just about anything, where people that only want the boob shot kind of thing will show up, and that's why they're there, and that's it. You know, and the people that are into it are really into it, and they're delving into the characters, and they want to know how to unlock that thing, and you know, so that's just how it is with any medium. Gaming's just a new frontier. A wide open space where people can make all kinds of money and in the process make really bad games. And they can also make really good games and make even more money than they're making now. But they're kind of dumb. They're kind of like, when it comes to these things, and they've convinced themselves the people to listen to are the people that are the schnazzy, fast-talking marketing folks. And it's like, no, you're really dumb when you're listening to them like for any kind of plan on things. They're the Unleash the Hounds folks. You don't want to listen to them. They're bad with all the planning. They don't do that. The big think people do that. I think Chris Raygun, whether he knows it or not, might be one of the big think people. He's got Rise Against covers that like raises his, you know, status in my book instantly. But yeah, it's an interesting little topic about race and how media is almost always accused of poorly portraying something like race. And usually what's happening is some op-ed, video maker, writer, whoever, is the one who's poorly portraying race. You know, they're the one that's doing it. They're the one that's sitting there being just kind of broad generalizations. Here we go. And that's not what I see from Chris Raygun at this time whatsoever. It's more just like he's pissed at this guy because this guy's pissing him off. And he's pissing me off too, but I've done this kind of writing that he's done, that he's reading on the script he's performing in the video that Chris is responding to. So yeah, it's just a thing to know. There's always op-ed writers showing up and kicking up dirt, and I'm one of them.